and welcome to Transporter, the video extra, and I think we're getting there. I hope you agree that we're getting there a little bit with these video extras. The first couple we were trying to learn on a very steep learning curve. I think the last one was pretty much heading where we wanted to. Of course it had the added advantage you never saw me or heard me on the last one, but I thought it worked in that particular format. But welcome to this one, and today you'll join me having a little look at the footpath called the Cinder Track, which now runs on what used to be the Scarborough to Whitby Coastal Railway. And I intend to cover this more as the weather gets better and lockdown eases and so forth, by bicycle. I know, good heavens. But this first bit is just walking out of Scarborough and looking at the junction and just seeing that first initial section. So settle back, join me. Welcome to Transported. Well, here we are at Scarborough Station. Walking past the turbo star, the engine in the background that you can hear ticking over is the train down to Sheffield. And I'm just taking a walk up here to see where the Whitby line once began. Going up platform 1. Platform 1's not really used for service particularly. I think really it only gets used by the Scarborough Express train. It's bay platform. And of course, it being a terminal station, many things are. But here we go, just going up here, just have a little twiddle of my technical equipment. Now then, if you go up here you can see that this was once a separate entrance. The station is so busy with holiday makers of course that there had to be various facilities. Further up there's a wholly separate station, maybe about half a mile out. And over to our side on the right here is what used to be the LNER, or the North Eastern Railways goods shed, taking parcels and so forth, tile warehouse and so forth. But coming up, just up here, is the longest station bench in the world. What do you think about that? That's nice to see the canopies are still here. And in fact this building here, which was a parcels office I believe, there's a host of model railway exhibitions, which is nice to know that there's still some of that stuff going on around here. Right, well, we'll get to the bench any second now. I'll look at the bench and I'll move on to where the signal box is. It'll be a bit handier for all that, I think. Flapping some pigeons, a bit quieter up here of course, away from the engines or of the unit. Much busier line out to Sheffield and so forth these days, as the service has gone from a 2-hourly service to a 1-hourly service. Long overdue. And here's the station bench, still beautifully maintained in well, it's regional railways blue basically. And then there's the overbridge. Right, we'll just walk a little bit further before, oh no, actually we're nearly there, so let's keep going. Little one-way street and iron bridge. This little section here is very popular with these photographers when steam comes in. It gives you a good overview over the station. And station, I'm still walking down the station bench by the way. It is extremely long. We're just basically walking up to Fallsgrave signal box, which is where the Whitby line took off. Now, the thing about the Whitby line is that it was very strange workings from as far as Scarborough was concerned. The train had to reverse out of the station to access the Whitby line, because the Whitby line drops in from the junction coming in from the west. There's no junction heading, sorry, just worked out, yeah, if you're coming in from the west, if you're coming in from the eastern direction, i.e. Scarborough station, there is no junction, there was no way to swing it all round. See train, step back, wait for the points to change, and then set off towards Whitby. But we're here at this little bit anyway, just have a quick look where the junction is, because it went straight into the Gallows Tunnel, and we're going to see that any moment now, because Gallows Tunnel is now there, and up ahead is Falsgrave signal box. Still in northeastern region, pale blue and cream. There's still a gas lamp, I assume not working, or at least electrified if it is, next to it. So it's also quite period. Don't know whether it's fully in use as a signal box or it's just a separate point. I suspect there's some degree of it. But there we are, Falsgrave in white on an orange background, which is lovely and nostalgic for those who have brought up in the West Riding or anywhere on the northeastern region. Okay, so Falsgrave box behind the trees, and as we just go around the corner here, with the main line to York and subsequently Sheffield coming out, we should get to see where the junction was. And you can hear the Sheffield train is coming past us. There it goes. The usual service on a streetcar 170. Now, here's the new building here which blocks the track bed, but there is Falsgrave Tunnel going through to the Gallows goods yard and subsequently onto Whitby. We're going to see that in a moment now. Having seen that, we'll be back shortly. Well, here we are in Gallows Yard. Now, I'll show you the other entrance to the tunnel, the opposite portal, but I can't. If you look where the Sainsbury's sign is, if you stood in the car park of Sainsbury's supermarket, that was approximately where the tunnel was, taking it under the main road. There's a church which kind of shows the path of the tunnel. Now, as far as I know, the entire tunnel has been infilled so that the building on the surfaces are sort of safe and stable. But over here in Sainsbury's yard, if you look upon the little access road to where the wagons come in to unload the goods for Sainsbury's, you'll find that there's the top of the various stones and things from the tunnel now, so it's not completely forgotten. So we're walking past Sainsbury's now, and this is the point where you will pick up where the railways. This was Gallows Yard. It was full of goods and freight, and busy little yard. Survived longer than the actual passenger service up to Whitby did, and the line up to Whitby. It was the goods yard for Scarborough, and obviously was easy to access because the goods trains didn't have to enter the station. I'll try, if you're listening at the video version of this, I'll try and insert a photograph of the yard as it once was, but I'm coming round the edge of Sainsbury's now. There's a little playground and so forth around the corner, but this is where we will see the path of the railway up to Whitby. I believe there's carriage sidings around about this area as well. So here we go, just rounding the edge of Sainsbury's on an extremely nippy day, I have to say. And excuse me, you can see the play centre, but it's playground and things. And there is, I think you'd agree, quite a modern bridge, concrete and red brick, which carried the railway across. carry the railway under, I should say, carry the road across. Now here we will see the start of Cinder Track. There's a little information board showing various things. There we go, I'm just having a look and see, yes, there's Gallows Close signal box. So you can actually come here and see a little idea of what it was once like. And there's a picture of Gallows Close signal box, but here we are. So unlike a lot of the old converted railway routes, this does have a nice hard surface rather than sort of fighting your way through undergrowth. Very popular with dog walkers and very handy for getting in and out of the town. Right, let's look over there at the bridge again. And you can see quite clearly that bridge has had graffiti all over it as you come round there. It's not the worst of graffiti, and I suspect it's kind of tied in with the playgroup centre to make it bright and jolly for children. But yeah, you sort of do a slight detour away from the actual track bed to get round the play centre. Here we go, and just passing under the bridge now. And if we look down here, there's some sports courts as we go under. As I say, the bridge looks very modern. It looks like the railway has survived much longer than it actually did. But whether this was renewed at some point, as I say, the yard and I believe the carriage sidings lasted somewhat longer than the route as a passenger service, which is quite an early closure, and still to this day is a very lamented early closure as well. It's still lamented that you can't get a direct train to Whitby from Scarborough. Yes, there's a regular express bus service, but it's not quite the same thing, I don't think. Of course you can still get to Scarborough by train, you can get to Whitby by train, but if you were to do the two, you would head up from Scarborough, out to York, up the main line, get to Middlesbrough, and then all the way back down. It's hardly a practical proposition unless you're as mad a rail enthusiast as myself. Now, as you can see, or as I will tell you, we are now in kind of in suburban Scarborough, very quickly away from the town centre area. Very leafy, very green. Plenty of access from the passing road, with another road over bridge coming up, and the pathway a little bit windier than the railway would have been, taking a fairly straight course and curving where necessary. Some nice rustic steps leading down to allow people access. As I say, it's a very handy kind of a route for the locals. They can really enjoy getting along here, because it gets them from A to B very handily indeed without walking the streets, and very handy as a dog walking area. There's plenty of grass up the side, so even the accidental excretions of a dog wouldn't be too much of a problem, although people around here are pretty good at cleaning up after the pets. So we're under an iron bridge now, in the usual grey with the rust on the joints, and this time not brick but solid stone blocks. Just onto the next tree, past the inevitable carrier bag chucked away, despite the fact it cost somebody 5p, or is it 10p now? I haven't got a disposable bag for some time now. And it's interesting the variety of the bridges that cross this line. Obviously in the suburban area there's plenty of little roads need to cross for people to get from A to B. And excuse me, it's the cold. Honestly, I haven't got the virus. It's the cold getting into me throat and making me phlegmy. Yeah, just under another bridge now. And this one, different to the first two, this one is a red brick arch, very elegant, built on a skew as well, which is always a fascinating thing. And up to the side is the little corner shop, Manor Oak Stores, and that's nice to see. I like a little shop. Well, sorry, that's my David Tennant as the Doctor impersonation. Yeah, under the bridge, you can probably hear the slight echo in the background as I come through, and we're winding very neatly along through the exit out of Scarborough itself. Funnily enough, the various stations on this line up to Whitby, of course, Robin Hood's Bay, I think, would most likely be classed as the most premium one, but Troughton and Scorby and so forth are also quite extensive villages. But funny enough, one of the busiest station line is Hayburn White, which or was Hayburn White, which is like in the middle of nowhere. There's a pub, and well, that's it really at Hayburn White, unless you clamber up the hill, and even then there's only a few houses. But Stephen, it was extremely popular with tourists, so Hayburn White Station attracted many people. But if you walk down through the woods to the seafront there, or at least a sort of Pebble Beach affair, you can see why it's, you know, a real beauty spot, as they used to call them. Now the line's curving away to the right now to wind its way out of the area, and still surrounded by trees, still slightly in a cutting, which gives you that slightly removed from the real world effect. And we're heading for yet another bridge. This one is out though, you have to come off the line to get to another access point here with a nice wooden rural thing. A dog entering onto the path, as I say, very popular with the walkers. And again, you can hear the traffic. This is probably, I think it's Woodland Ravine it's called, but I think this road is probably one of the busiest that the line crosses, that crosses the line, I should say. And
approaching